Advanced Anatomy and Physiology crew, thank you for the work during week 1. I know this was a lot, and I know it's sometimes a little bit rough to jump in this way, but we'll hit the ground running, and I promise you it will pay off down the line. It really will. Thank you for the work. As always, the first thing to do is take a look at your lecture quiz. That should be available. I'll always make those posted, and so that you can review them after the quiz window. Sometimes your score will populate before the quiz window is over. Please hear me on this. Scores won't be official until I get in there and grade them. So if you take the quiz and you post it and you see some score, please know that that's not your final score. And I'll end up usually with a whole bunch of people emailing me saying, hey, why is my score so low? And then I'll say, it's because I haven't graded them. All of these quizzes require me to go in and take a look at all of them, which is kind of nice because then I get an idea of how you're doing and what kind of questions with which you struggle, if there are any of those. But questions will be available for reviewing after the quiz window is open and official scores are posted. Thank you for doing that. All right, this week moving forward, we are done with the chemistry stuff. We're done with a little bit of the pH stuff, and we'll move on to DNA and cells and genetics. So we'll have lecture and lab this week. We didn't have lab last week. For lab this week, we'll talk about that in a moment. You will need access to the 9th edition of Connect, and you have that automatically for $45. You can get to that if you take a look at the Canvas page and you scroll down on the left. There's a button or there's a link that says McGraw-Hill. That will take you to the electronic text. You need that this semester. There's no way of getting around it. That's how we will deliver lab. So if you have some previous version or if you have a hard copy, that's great, but that won't suffice. You'll need to have this. Your account will be charged automatically in like a month. It's $45. It's the absolute cheapest way. But lab content will be delivered exclusively through this semester's content and the Connect access page. So you'll need that. For lecture, there will be a video on the cell cycle and how cells live their lives. It will be narrated by a guy who is really good at doing what he's doing. There's another video on ploidy, or the number of sets of chromosomes in a cell, which will link nicely. And I'd highly recommend for lecture that you first do the cell cycle, mitosis, meiosis video, and then take a look at the ploidy one. All of the content in both of those videos will be fair game for the lecture quiz at the end of the week from Sunday to Monday. And then we have to take a look at lab this week. So for lab, please take a look at the page in Canvas. There are a couple of videos to watch about heredity and alleles and how things get passed down. And then in Connect, through the access of McGraw-Hill, there is a heredity simulation to go through. This heredity simulation has a lot of terms on the front page, especially. You're responsible for them. Things like homozygous and heterozygous, etc. Please learn the terms on the first page and then work your way through the simulation. And like a lot of things in lab, even though this is a simulation, sometimes it will require a little stopping and a little bit of starting. It won't necessarily be perfect. The simulation does work. So if you get caught up someplace in the simulation, it just means you need to be a little bit more diligent or correct or go back and try again. But the simulations do work. And then for the lab quiz next week on a couple of videos and the heredity simulation, the lab quiz will be in Connect. So the same place that you gain access to the lab simulation, you'll find the quiz questions and the quiz window will be the same. So please take a look. This week, here we go on week 2. It's always a good idea to watch the intro video, which is what this is, and then take a look at the overview page. And the overview page will list the expectations. And then for each expectation, there's a separate page. So now we're past Labor Day for this week. All quizzes will be from Sunday morning to Monday morning. And this week you have lecture content and lab content to learn. I've reached out to you each individually and I've heard back from most of you. Please make sure you're checking your emails and responding. I know you can do this. As soon as the quiz one from lecture last week is posted, review that and then set your sights and your schedule on this week to move forward. Hang in here, you can do this. After a couple of weeks, we'll be into a nice routine, folks.